Listen closely, because this is not a motivational fluff video you scroll past. Most people will spend their entire lives average, disappointed, and confused. Not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack obsession. Obsession is the force that separates winners from dreamers, the relentless energy that turns ideas into empires, and until you understand it, you will continue living in mediocrity disguised as comfort. Society teaches people to be safe, to settle, to chase validation instead of victory, to comfort themselves when failure arrives instead of confronting. And this is why so many fail silently while believing they are trying hard enough. You are not trying hard enough if you are not consumed by your goal. If it doesn't dominate your thoughts, your routines, your conversations, and your every decision. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Distraction is the enemy of execution. And excuses are the enemy of results. Now hear this. The world does not reward intention. It rewards execution. The people who succeed in 2026 will not be those who think positively, meditate for clarity, or make lists. They will be those who wake up every single day consumed by a relentless drive to achieve, to grow, to dominate, and to refuse to accept anything less than total victory. Being obsessed means you prioritize your mission over comfort, over friends, over approval, and over every temporary pleasure that weakens your focus. It's not easy, it is brutal. Most people cannot handle it, which is why they never reach the top. Obsessed people do not negotiate with weakness. They do not allow laziness to exist in their routines. They do not excuse failure as temporary or beyond their control. Every action, every thought, every second of energy is directed toward building unstoppable momentum. And here's the harsh truth. If you are not already thinking this way, if you're not already willing to sacrifice, you are already behind. Because life does not wait for people to catch up. The clock ticks relentlessly. Opportunities do not pause. And 2026 will be unforgiving to anyone who lacks focus, discipline, and relentless drive. Obsession is not a choice, it is a requirement. To dominate, you must let your goal consume you entirely. Mentally, physically, emotionally. Every habit must reinforce your mission. Every interaction must either elevate or align with your objective. Every distraction, indulgence, or misalignment is a threat to your future. Weak people try to balance comfort with ambition. They fail. Strong people remove comfort completely and replace it with a laser focus that leaves nothing unaccounted for. And here's the kicker. Obsession is not temporary. You don't turn it on when you feel motivated. Obsession is a lifestyle, a state of mind, a structure for your entire existence. It dictates your mornings, your evenings, your work, and your rest. It is continuous pressure applied to yourself until strength is built, habits are reinforced, and results become inevitable. Anything less is negotiation with mediocrity. Anything less is surrender. Anything less guarantees failure. By the time 2026 arrives, you have to be ready. Ready in your mind, ready in your routines, ready in your body. The people who wait to feel ready will be left behind, crying about why the world is unfair while the obsessed are building empires, crushing resistance, and setting standards for everyone else. Success is not polite. Success does not wait. Success does not forgive. And if you are not obsessed, it will leave you behind permanently. Now that you understand the harsh truth of part one, it's time to confront the enemy most people refuse to see: comfort. Comfort is not harmless. Comfort is not neutral. Comfort is lethal. It whispers to you that you're fine, take it easy, don't push too hard. It convinces you that scrolling social media, binge watching shows, or seeking approval is a substitute for real effort. And here's the brutal reality. Comfort will destroy your potential faster than any external threat because it slowly robs you of your energy, your focus, and your drive without ever announcing itself. Most people live their entire lives in comfort, thinking they are being smart, when in reality they are preparing to fail. Obsession is the antidote. Obsession is the heat that forges winners. It's the pressure applied relentlessly until weak traits snap and strength is built. Obsession does not wait for mood. It does not pause for fatigue. It does not negotiate with laziness. To be obsessed means you are willing to feel uncomfortable constantly because every action you take is measured against your ultimate mission. Every delayed gratification is a deposit into your future empire. Every inconvenience, every rejection, every sleepless night is a stepping stone, and if you embrace it fully, it becomes fuel. Those who run from discomfort will always be second rate. Those who chase it will dominate. Here's the critical lesson. You cannot balance comfort and obsession. Anyone who tries to maintain a normal life while chasing extraordinary results is lying to themselves. There is no compromise. Obsession requires elimination of the optional, the indulgent, the distracting. Every minute spent in comfort is a minute spent weakening your future self. You must decide right now, do you want fleeting pleasure or permanent power? Because the two cannot coexist. Most people fail because they confuse motivation with action. They wait for a surge of feeling to push them forward, hoping inspiration will arrive while the obsessed act regardless of how they feel. Obsession is discipline under fire. It is execution while exhausted. It is consist. NC, when everything inside you screams to quit. It is a lifestyle, not a temporary decision. If you think you can be motivated tomorrow, you are already behind because the obsessed started yesterday and compounded their advantage every single day. Let's get real. The world rewards obsession, not effort. Effort can be token, shallow, sporadic. Obsession consumes every ounce of your life and makes mediocrity impossible. Your thoughts, your routines, your choices, your conversations, all must serve the mission. If a single day passes where you allow yourself to drift, to indulge, to compromise, you are actively losing ground to the people who are obsessed right now. This is not theory. This is fact. And 2026 will expose everyone who allowed comfort to govern their life. Here's how obsession manifests in daily life. Waking up early even when tired, training your body and mind regardless of mood, prioritizing work that matters over social distraction, cutting off meaningless relationships, eliminating unnecessary indulgences, and forcing yourself to act on ideas before you feel ready. Obsession is brutal because it forces growth in every direction simultaneously. Weakness cannot survive its intensity, excuses crumble under it, and resistance, instead of breaking you, strengthens you. The most overlooked aspect of obsession is how it rewires your identity. When you commit fully, you stop negotiating with mediocrity. You stop telling yourself comforting lies. You start seeing yourself as a winner before the results appear. And this identity shift is what makes action consistent, what makes the impossible achievable, and what makes you unstoppable. Ordinary people live in a story where they hope the world will change for them. Obsessive people create the world around them through sheer force of will. Remember, obsession is not optional if you want to dominate 2026. Comfort will sneak in, distractions will appear, your own mind will resist, and you will want to quit repeatedly. But every second you fight through, every discomfort you embrace, every choice that aligns with your mission compounds like interest on money. Small advantages multiplied over time create dominance that feels unfair to everyone else. This is why obsessed people always rise faster than talent alone predicts, because they are relentless, unstoppable, and unwilling to surrender. Finally, understand this. Comfort is seductive, but it is weak. Obsession is painful, but it is power. You cannot have both. If you are not prepared to sacrifice pleasure, ease, and convenience for relentless growth, you will never win. The choice is yours, but history is merciless to those who choose comfort over obsession. By now, you should understand that obsession is not optional and comfort is the enemy. But obsession alone is a raw force, untamed, chaotic, and unsustainable if not channeled properly. This is where discipline and routine enter the equation. Discipline is the framework that transforms obsession into results. Routine is the vehicle that carries your energy, focus, and intent day after day, turning small, consistent actions into unstoppable momentum. Without them, obsession burns out like a fire without fuel, intense for a moment, then extinguished, leaving only regret. Discipline is not about rules imposed by others. It is about self-imposed standards so rigid that breaking them feels unnatural. It is waking up at the same time every day, training your body and mind even when you feel exhausted, executing tasks with precision, and refusing to compromise on actions that lead to your goals. This is not motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline is permanent. Motivation is a spark, discipline is the furnace. And in 2026, the furnace will separate the winners from the dreamers. Routine is equally critical. Humans are creatures of habit. Your daily structure dictates whether you inch forward or drift backward. A deliberate routine aligns your environment, energy, and decisions with your mission. It eliminates wasted mental energy, reduces decision fatigue, and keeps you relentlessly moving toward the target. The obsessed person knows that if they control their day, they control their life. And controlling your life is the only way to survive and dominate a fast-paced, unforgiving future. Here's the reality most people refuse to face. Comfort is a daily choice. You can ignore your routine, skip your workouts, procrastinate on your responsibilities, indulge in distractions, but every single time you do, your future self is weakened. Obsession without structure is wasted potential. Discipline without intensity is average at best. But combine the two, obsession channeled through disciplined routines, and you become unstoppable. Results compound, skills sharpen, opportunities expand. The world bends to your momentum. The best way to enforce discipline is through standards, not goals. Goals are destinations, standards are non-negotiable behaviors. A goal can be delayed or ignored, but a standard is absolute. If you are obsessed with being great, your standard might be, I train 1 hour every morning, I read 30 minutes daily, I execute critical tasks first, I eliminate distractions. Every deviation weakens the system. Every adherence strengthens it. This is how winners think. They measure themselves by daily execution, not fleeting feelings or external validation. Routine also creates psychological immunity. When you repeatedly do what is hard, your nervous system adapts. You become comfortable with discomfort. Tasks that once caused stress or hesitation now become automatic, almost effortless. This is how mental toughness is forged. Discipline and routine are the gym of the mind, and obsession is the weight you lift relentlessly. Without both, you have raw energy with no direction, intense but ineffective. Another key element is time blocking and environment control. The obsessed person designs their environment to eliminate distractions, enforce focus, and maximize productive energy. Phones are silenced, social media is limited, unnecessary conversations are minimized, and the physical space supports work and growth. This is not extreme. This is practical. And 2026 will reward those who can structure their mind and surroundings to amplify obsession, and punish those who leave their focus to chance. Discipline also extends to self-awareness. You must track your progress, reflect on your actions, and continuously adjust routines for efficiency. Obsession without reflection is blind. Discipline without measurement is wasted effort. Together, they create a feedback loop that strengthens habit, sharpens focus, and makes failure increasingly unlikely. Finally, understand this: no one becomes dominant by accident. Obsession must be harnessed, discipline must be enforced, routine must be followed daily without exception. Every time you execute your routine under fatigue, boredom, or resistance, you are reinforcing a mental muscle that guarantees victory over time. The weak avoid these moments. The obsessed thrive in them. By now, obsession has been defined, comfort has been exposed as the enemy, and discipline plus routine have been established as your weapons. But there is one more pillar that separates the average from the unstoppable: mental toughness and unbreakable focus. Obsession alone is raw energy. Discipline alone is structure. But mental toughness is the shield that allows you to face failure, criticism, pressure, and chaos without breaking. And focus is the laser that ensures every ounce of your energy hits the target. Without these, even obsession channeled through discipline can be wasted. Mental toughness is not born. It is forged through deliberate exposure to resistance. You must put yourself in situations that challenge your limits physically, emotionally, and mentally. Every rejection, every failure, every uncomfortable moment is a test. The weak see these as signs to stop. The obsessed see them as fuel. The person with mental toughness absorbs pressure instead of avoiding it, converts adversity into skill, and learns faster than anyone else. This is what allows someone to operate at a level most people consider impossible. Focus is equally critical. In a world overflowing with distractions, attention has become the most valuable currency. Every notification, every irrelevant conversation, every fleeting pleasure steals your mental energy. And if your focus is weak, your obsession is squandered. Laser focus means eliminating the irrelevant completely. It means understanding that your time and energy are finite and cannot be wasted on people, tasks, or entertainment that does not elevate you. The obsessed person prioritizes ruthlessly. They act decisively. They execute with precision. Here's the truth that no one tells you: effort alone is worthless if your focus is scattered. You can work 12 hours a day, but if your mind is jumping between asks, ideas, and distractions, your results will be mediocre. Obsession magnifies the results only when combined with unbreakable focus. Every action must be intentional, every decision aligned with your ultimate mission, every thought feeding the mindset of domination. Anything less is surrendering potential. Mental toughness also requires embracing discomfort willingly. If you are afraid of failure, criticism, or rejection, your obsession will falter under pressure. To be obsessed in 2026, you must train yourself to welcome these challenges. The world is going to push, pull, and test you relentlessly, and your ability to remain calm, decisive, and relentless is what separates winners from the rest. Obsession without resilience is fragile. Mental toughness solidifies obsession into an unshakable weapon. Another overlooked factor is emotional control. Obsession is powerful, but uncontrolled emotion can sabotage it. The obsessed must learn to regulate fear, doubt, and frustration, transforming these emotions into fuel rather than letting them dictate behavior. Focused energy combined with emotional mastery allows action under any circumstances, fatigue, stress, or opposition, and ensures momentum is never lost. Let's not forget execution under resistance. Ideas, planning, and inspiration are worthless without decisive action. The mentally tough act when others hesitate. They strike when others wait. They pursue relentlessly when others compromise. And every action compounds, creating momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. You cannot negotiate with hesitation or uncertainty. Obsession, discipline, and focus demand action regardless of comfort, approval, or opinion. Finally, understand this: mental toughness and focus make obsession sustainable. Without them, intensity burns out, habits break, and potential is wasted. With them, you become a force that moves relentlessly toward victory, immune to distraction, resilient against adversity, and unstoppable regardless of circumstances. The obsessed, disciplined, and focused individual does not wait for perfect conditions. They create them and dominate anyway. By now, you understand that obsession, discipline, routine, mental toughness, and focus are the pillars of unstoppable success. But even the strongest obsession can fail if your environment is unaligned and distractions are allowed to dominate your life. The world is engineered to distract you, to keep you mediocre, and to weaken your mind under the guise of comfort and entertainment. Social media, toxic relationships, excessive entertainment, unnecessary commitments, these are the silent killers of greatness. If you cannot eliminate them, no level of discipline or obsession will save you. Mastering your environment means designing every aspect of your life to support your mission. Your space, your schedule, your social circle, even the media you consume must serve a purpose. This is not optional. The obsessed person understands that surroundings dictate behavior. A cluttered space breeds a cluttered mind. A chaotic schedule ensures inconsistent action. Negative people drain energy that should be invested in growth. By removing these obstacles, you remove friction and allow your obsession to flow unhindered. Distractions are not just external, they are internal. Your own mind is constantly producing excuses, doubts, and fears. The average person listens to these thoughts, justifying inaction and weakness. The obsessed trains their mind to recognize these intrusions and override them with action. Every time you act despite hesitation, fear, or comfort, you strengthen a mental pathway that makes dominance inevitable. Over time, these actions compound and distraction loses its power entirely. Here's the brutal truth. Elimination is uncomfortable. It forces you to cut ties, change habits, and face boredom. Most people cannot handle this discomfort. That's why they remain mediocre. But obsession thrives on it. When you remove the unnecessary, you create space for intensity. When you silence the noise, you amplify your focus. When you control your environment, you control your outcomes. The obsessed do not let circumstance dictate results. They shape circumstances to match their ambition. Technology and social media are the most underestimated distractions. Notifications, constant scrolling, and digital dopamine loops destroy focus silently. The average person spends hours every day lost in meaningless content, convincing themselves it's relaxation. The obsessed understands that time is finite and cannot be surrendered to mindless consumption. They schedule interactions, monitor usage, and create digital boundaries that enforce attention toward goals. This is what separates someone who talks about success from someone who achieves it. Eliminating distractions also means mastering your priorities. Every decision must pass the filter. Does this action serve my mission? If yes, execute. If no, discard immediately. The obsessed ruthlessly curates their life to align with their objectives. This is why winners seem relentless. It's not chaos or luck. It's careful, continuous, uncompromising elimination of anything that does not add value. Finally, understand this. Your environment amplifies or diminishes your obsession. If you allow chaos, noise, and weakness to surround you, your power will be diluted. If you intentionally structure, optimize, and master every element around you, your obsession becomes unstoppable. Every action becomes easier, every habit stronger, and every result inevitable. This is why controlling your environment is not optional. It is the invisible force that turns obsession into domination. By now, your obsession is honed, your discipline is solid, your routine is unstoppable, your mental toughness unbreakable, and your environment mastered. But all of this still lacks direction if you do not have a clear vision for the future. Winners in 2026 are not chasing vague goals or random ambitions. They are obsessed with a specific, unshakable vision of who they will become and what they will dominate. This vision is the fuel that drives obsession into consistent action. Without it, even the most intense effort is scattered, wasted, and directionless. Vision is clarity. It is the map for your obsession. It tells you what to attack, what to protect, and what to sacrifice. People without vision are reactive. They respond to circumstances, opinions, and external pressures. The obsessed, however, is proactive. They define the battlefield, choose the challenges, and dictate the terms of engagement. This is why most people fail. They chase trends, follow advice blindly, and hope for luck, while winners craft the future intentionally and relentlessly. Your vision must be big enough to scare you, precise enough to measure, and detailed enough to guide daily action. Every habit, every routine, every sacrifice should align with this vision. If your obsession does not have a target, it dissipates. If your focus is not aimed, it fractures. If your discipline does not support the vision, it is wasted energy. The 2026 winner lives in a state where the future is not a possibility, it is an inevitability, and every action is proof of that certainty. To build this mindset, you must think like a chess player, not a pawn. Anticipate obstacles, plan your steps, consider consequences, prepare mentally, physically, and emotionally for every scenario. Winners do not stumble into success, they construct it with ruthless foresight. Obsession without vision is raw power without aim. Dangerous, but ultimately ineffective. The mindset of winners also embraces relentless accountability. You cannot blame society, circumstances, or others for failure. Winners in 2026 understand that their life is a mirror of their decisions, habits, and actions. If you fail, it is because you allowed distraction, weakness, or lack of focus to dominate. If you succeed, it is because you executed relentlessly, refused compromise, and stayed aligned with your vision even when the world tried to pull you away. Here's the harsh truth. The future is unforgiving. 2026 will reward only those who prepare mentally, execute with obsession, and maintain absolute clarity of purpose. Those who hesitate, indulge in comfort, or wander aimlessly will be left behind, watching others achieve what they only dreamed of. Obsession without vision creates fatigue. Discipline without purpose becomes mechanical. Mental toughness without direction becomes stubbornness. Only a clear, dominating vision ensures that every ounce of your energy compounds into victory. Finally, winners understand that vision is not static. It evolves, grows, and challenges you further as you progress. Complacency is the silent killer of success. The moment you feel good enough, you stop growing. The obsessed understand that the future demands adaptation, learning, and relentless improvement. Your 2026 miles ND set must not only chase success, but anticipate it, sculpt it, and enforce it through unyielding action. Now is the moment where everything comes together. Obsession, discipline, routine, mental toughness, focus, environment mastery, and vision. All the pieces you've built, all the habits you've forged, all the discomfort you've embraced converge into one singular truth. Your identity determines your destiny. To become unstoppable in 2026, you must no longer think of yourself as someone trying to succeed. You must see yourself as a winner, a person who executes relentlessly, refuses compromise, and dominates every challenge that crosses their path. Identity is not a label. It is a series of daily choices that reinforce who you are becoming. Each disciplined morning, each focused hour, each uncomfortable decision builds the mental and emotional infrastructure of the winner. You are not working towards success. You are success in action. Mediocre people see themselves as temporary visitors in the world of achievement. Obsessed winners live there permanently. Action is inseparable from identity. You cannot say, I am unstoppable, and wait for results. You must act like it every day, without hesitation, without compromise. Every workout, every task, every sacrifice is a declaration, this is who I am. The world will respond to your identity long before it notices your results. Master this, and success becomes inevitable. Fail this, and even the strongest obsession falters.